אנשים מכל העולם, ירושלים קוראת לכולנו לבוא ולחגוג אחדות, שמחה והרבה שלום. Are you ready? Let's go!
Jérusalem à Israël. Jérusalem, la capitale de l'humanité. Ta magnificence, symbole de l'unité. Jérusalem, Irabira, של האנושות, הפה שלה היא סמל האחדות. Tu es notre combat, oh oui tu verras. Seulement ensemble, oui on le vaincra. Où que tu sois, viens danser avec moi. זאת המלחמה של האהבה, רק כולם יחד, כן ננצח. צריך אחדות, בואו נרקוד יחד. כולם עם אחד, unity, unity brings peace in this world. כולם עם אחד, unity, unity brings peace in this world. אם ספרדי או אשכנזי, דתי חילוני, עשיר או עני, זה לא משנה. שלום פיסלם. Jérusalem, la capitale de l'humanité. Ta magnificence, symbole de l'unité. Jérusalem, Irabira, של האנושות, הפה שלה היא סמל האחדות. Tu es notre combat, oh oui tu verras. Seulement ensemble, oui on le vaincra. Où que tu sois, viens, viens danser avec moi. Viens danser avec moi. זאת המלחמה של האהבה, כולם ביחד. כי צריך אחדות, כולם ביחד. Unity, unity brings peace in this world. כולם ביחד. Unity, unity brings peace in this world.
ג'רוזלם, עיר הבירה, ירושלים.
Shalom, shalom, folks. Shabbat shalom, shalom. May God bless you. God be with you. Happy Sukkot, and today is a Sukkot day. So hopefully you are celebrating Sukkot. If you're not, I think I would encourage you to join the Sukkot families or anyone if you're nearby. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I appreciate you are watching this video, and I appreciate that you are at least learning something from here. Um, Winter has started. It's getting cold, folks. Cold, cold, cold. And in between we get some lighting, some summer, not summer exactly, some kind of hot weather, but it's not up to the par. This winter is already creeped in. It's very cold here. It's going. I'm slowly wearing my simple sweaters, and then probably it'll increase into big and thicker ones. For definitely, sure, it's going to come very pretty soon. And also, so how you guys are doing today? I hope you guys are enjoying in your place. All right, today we are going to check in back into Paulinity or Christianity, Apologetics or Paulogetics. Which one is right? This is going to be the continuation of the last week's portion, and we did see something in the last week, and I'm going to elaborate a little more this time. And before I start this session, as a disclaimer, again, I'm telling to you guys this is a very, very sensitive matter, and it's not focusing on a single individual person or group or any bishop or any prophet, pastors or any evangelist, but of course, it is focusing on them also only in one way. But the point is that it is not personally attacking them, but at the same time, I got to get this truth out. And if you are watching, it's up to you to go and learn and to research and to find out what is the truth and move on from there. There's nothing like here, as I'm not doing like a big evangelization to bring somebody into Judaism. No, I'm giving out you the truth. You be the judge, and you go and you do whatever you want to. That's on your case. So, but anyway, guys, let's start. Last week, what we saw, about Paul or apologetics, we saw that Paul was a polytheistic person, meaning polytheistic is he was worshiping all three gods like Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So if you worship more than one, you call a polytheistic or polytheism, right? So also, Paul was institutionalizing the Christianity, but Jesus was the center figure of Christianity. That was the thing that we were talking about last time. Paul, when you ask anything, did Paul invested or invented or Jesus invented? But Paul was only institutionalizing. I think I'm telling it, guys. It's kind of a little bit a tricky word. Um, Christianity, but Jesus was the center figure of the Christianity. We saw that last time. Paul was it invention of the Christianity is by Paul or Jesus? We saw that last time. Paul was, chasing out all the Christian people or trying to kill them, and he was, running behind them to kill. Basically, he was running behind them. Whoever wasn't worshiping the way they're supposed to be worshiping in an orthodox way, where so the Paul was basically was trying to get rid of them. That's what he was doing. That means already there were some groups following Jesus Christ before even Paul established anything. So we saw so many things. We saw about Paul's account. We saw about Paul's conversion and everything. But still, we raised a lot of questions about Paul, because when he went to Jerusalem, he didn't go and see anybody, any Jesus' tomb or Jesus' birthplace. Nothing. He didn't see anything. That is my question, because why he didn't see it? I mean, what is happening with him? Because if I love Jesus, definitely I would go and check it out first. But Paul was not checking it out. I don't know why. Was the reason? He has to answer for that one. So now this week we're going to see a little more into Pauline's chapters or Pauline's descriptions about Christianity. And we see who invented the Christianity. Was it Jesus or was it Paul? The answer is none of them, not both of them, because the way that it's developed is completely different. Um, as we said last time, Paul was not focusing on historic Jesus. He was focusing only on the resurrected Jesus. That's the Paul's main focus. Because Paul didn't know about anything about Jesus. This is unbelievable. Paul never seen Jesus. Paul never met Jesus when he was alive. And Paul was in Rome, Jesus was in Jerusalem. And how could Paul could able to recognize him when he was on the wilderness? A light came to him, and all of a sudden he heard the voice, and he heard that the voice was claiming he was Jesus, and Paul accepted it. This is a little bit a tricky one, because how it is possible. Paul never seen Jesus. Paul never heard about Jesus' voice, the sound or anything. But all of a sudden, a voice came from somewhere, and Paul accepted that was Jesus Christ. That's a story that it is written in the book. And sometimes Paul also tells that he was alone when he had encountered the event of Jesus visitation. And in another place he told that he was with the soldiers. He himself contradicts by himself, no one else. He himself contradicts in both places. Which one is right, we do not know. Secondly, folks, think about this, folks. You need to, especially, I'm talking only about the Christian people back in India, in my hometown, I'm talking. You need to really, really study the Word of God, dissect the Word of God, get into the Word of God, and you need to study. You need to refer a lot of books to be referred. You cannot just only sit down and listen some message and just walk out. There is no more time left. We are in the last moments. If you do not understand the real truth, you will be like in the gang following someone. The only problem with the Christianity is that they are afraid of accepting anything new, because they would be left out in the social community or in a society in which they are living in, because they will be like aloof, or will be like totally been dislodged from the whole community. That was the fear, that they don't want to open their mouth. And also, there's most of them, why should I ask questions? Just believe in Jesus and go. I'm not going to ask any questions about that, because they believe in Jesus, the Word of God, and the New Testament Jesus. That is the overall stand of the people, those who are back home, what they think. They don't want to hear anything or any facts about the Bible thing, because they are so superstitious about so many things, and they don't want to leave it. They don't want to come out of it. But my point is that I had to tell you, because when people make mistakes, it's my responsibility to tell you, but it's up to you to hear or not, right? So having that mindset, to me, it's so tough to believe. If I walk in the wilderness, if I walk in the middle of the night, if I go through some of the places, and then you get a big, huge light on you, it's a huge beam of light just focusing on Paul. It never happened before to anybody, and no one told any experiences like this. It was not a common experience that everyone could, encounter all those things. It never happened. This is only Paul, and he's telling like this type of story. And I never read any other people were talking about this type of a story. I mean, like, if it is like that, we could definitely believe, yeah, it could have been possible, because the other guy had it, the previous guy had it. So definitely, if he is having it, probably it could have happened. But no historical evidences of these type of things happened before in a Christianity or any other religion, that a light focusing on from top to heavens to down, and a voice heard. That will be a very scary, dramatic scene if you think of it. And Paul was alone, and when the light came, there was a huge sound comes in, thunder and everything, almost a big sound comes in. Do you think that anybody would be like, very cool and calm, will be coming down? Because that is our mindset. That's our mindset. What we think is, oh, I mean, these are the words are so nicely written. We have to respect God and everything. So we have to be very careful in talking. No, it would have happened. Why not? It's a God. God can do anything, right? That's how you people will think always, and you try to find some solution. You try to find some reason that that should have been happened, that might have happened, and it is correct and true. See, that much your mind system is totally, totally believing in it. But when you apply yourself, try to apply yourself, would that be possible in the middle of the night or something, that all of a sudden that a huge light comes in, and then you heard the voice, I will run out of the place. I would have been, not standing there and talking, because I don't know to whom I'm talking. It's going to be a very tough one to talk, right? But Paul listens everything. Paul asks questions. Oh my God, who are you? Oh Jesus, how Paul knew that it was God. How Paul that sound knew it was God. I mean, how did he know that one? So many questions which was unanswered, which is unanswered, because there are no answers for this one. Paul didn't write anything about this one. So having said that, look at that, folks. So the bottom line is that they are trying to see, the Christianity is spread by Paul or by Jesus during the Jesus time period. Jesus never told them to go and establish the Christianity. Now he instructed them to go to the Jewish community, because he was practicing a pure Jewish community, pure Jewish system, and he told them to go and work with the Jewish people, not with any other thing. In the book of Matthew, it is written there. So Jesus himself tells it, like, you need to go to the last sheep of Israel, go to Israel people, not the Gentiles. And he didn't encourage the Gentile woman who came to him first. So when we say all these things, when Jesus was himself supposed to be, preaching and teaching correctly, but what's going on there, he was only making the people to believe in the Judaism, in the Jewish way of living, not the Christianity way of living. Jesus didn't do that. He said that this is how it should be done. Even though he was going to temple, he was doing offerings, he was working in the temple, so everything he was doing. But still then, he was not separately telling, forget about Judaism and follow me. No, he didn't say that. Christianity was not established through, like Paul, um, or Jesus himself. Uh, Even Paul, when he started writing things, he only wrote about the resurrected Jesus. He did not write anything about the Jesus who was living before, because he wasn't there. He didn't know that. So how could able to Paul write the first letter? Even now, there are lot of differences of opinions about the gospel books. Some people say that the gospel books were written in the first century, like maybe starting from AD after 40 or 50, something like that. But whereas in the other group says that that is highly impossible. There is no evidence for these books was written in those time period, in the early first century. No one knew about that one. There's not a tangible evidence that it would have happened, but it is all man-made things, right? People brought that in. But actually people believe that these New Testament would have been written maybe second or third centuries. That's one of the other things that people still thinking. I'm not the one, but all the scholars, I'm talking about the scholars, are thinking like this. So even like when the biblical the first book was written by Paul to the Corinthians, now gospel writers wrote their gospels after some decades, like maybe 10, 20 years after. So they could be able to see Paul's writing, they could be able to picturize what was going on in there at the time, and then they went and nailed their same incidents in their book. Basically, they were just plagiarizing Apostle Paul and reading it, and then they're trying to establish that in their books. That's what they were doing at the time, because Gospels were written after the book of Paul. Paul was the one who wrote the book before even the Gospel was written. So there was an opportunity for them to talk and write about their, the first century authors. They had that time period to look around and look other books and copy it and paste it there. So the bottom line here is Paul um, didn't establish the Christianity. Same way, Jesus didn't establish Christianity. They were only preaching and teaching about the Judaism, bottom line. But after the days went by, after the days have gone by, automatically it turned into Christianity, because the Paul's writings were there. Even though Paul's writings were only focusing on the resurrected Jesus Christ, where he gained all those information, how he gained the information about the Last Supper of Jesus Christ, from where he gained it. It's all heard through people. He was a philosopher, so he was referring so many other books also. And he might have been talking to some people over there, like previously, who have lived in Rome. He might have talked with those things. So he might have gathered certain things. Then finally, only he was started writing all these things. Otherwise, there is no possible that Paul would be knowing who was Jesus. So, Jesus, before he living, he lived a life, and he was an example at the time, that whoever who was acting. And I mean, like, uh, what I'm saying is like, um, at the time of the first century, um, like when Jesus was exactly trying to bring the people into the Judaism, not into the Christianity, because it was not established. Basically, he didn't establish. It was like Jesus was correcting all the laws that the rabbinic Jewish people were following, and he was redirecting them to a correct way. That's what basically he was doing. And then after the first century, what happened slowly? When the authors came to write the Gospels, and after our Gospels were written, Paul wrote several other books, and there were some other books were written in those days, but nothing reached to the level of the canon. It was not entered into the canons, but still then, this all happened only after second or third century. That's one of the authors, or one of the um, biblical authors. They expressed that it was not in the during the first century. It was happened during the second century, but no one knew till date, because there are so many documents without dates on those documents. That was also there. So one of the things that I wanted to say, that like about the Paulinity or Christianity, when you talk about, both didn't develop. But when he went to Jerusalem, Paul went to Jerusalem with a lot of his ideas and thought processes, and the James and Peter they were like, what, Paul, you were not, because Paul was talking about the Gentile thing. That's true. Paul was the first one who was talking to the Gentile one. That's true. Secondly, Paul was the only one person who narrated everything in a text format. That's why it looks like that Christianity came through Paul, but the author who started writing these things in a written format was Paul for the first time. And that gave him to bring the Christianity. But actually, at the time period, they were bringing the people into Judaism, not into Christianity. That was a real true one. After some time, it went into different things, and formed in a different way, and people started following Christianity, and then there was a lot of ritual practices brought in, and the church has grown, and people have grown, and there are like 15 million denominations right now in the Christianity. So that's what it is that what happened. But basically, like, if they would have started with a one single life, whatever it is, um, this wouldn't be happening right now. Like, people are going behind without even noticing anything, without even learning anything, without even understanding anything. We just start going. But this wouldn't be happening if we would have followed exactly what we're supposed to follow, but we missed it. That's one of the things. So Paul how he knew about the incident happened in those days, because he didn't go to Jerusalem when Jesus was there. How did he know that one? So here comes the problem. Here comes the problem. This is what called oral law. Mean people tell it on the oral. People narrate it on the oral. Sometimes the oral laws are much more better than the written ones. If you start writing something, it might go in wrong. But the oral laws were so memory packed, so action packed. So when they tell the situations, it was so tough for them to accept it. And um, when Paul, on the first century times, it eventually happened. He was a philosopher. He was mixing up the philosophy. He came from a city called Tarsus. Is a philosopher's city, that is basically. So with his knowledge, because he studied under the Gamaliel's college, so he put all his knowledge. He tried to understand through the Hebrewic way, through the Gentile way, through the Greek way, and he was trying to understand the complete story of Jesus and his redemption and everything. So he started slowly writing things up. That's the one thing that Paul did, and it also not all the 13 books of Paul was written by Paul. Only 6 or 7 of them were written by Paul. Remaining, who do not know who wrote those books. That's what said. So, but we have to accept that Paul registered first time what he did in the book. So that looks like that he started the ministry before than anybody. But basically, he was writing whatever he was encountering. But the Gospels definitely utilized Paul's book on those days. They might have seen it. They might have structured according to that. There is no way. I don't think so. Any doubt on that one. I mean, it is up to them. I'm not telling it's wrong or right, but it is up to them to decide wrong or right. But to me, it looked like okay, not a problem, right? What was not the problem? The Paul's writing on Christianity. The first thing he wrote, and how the Christianity took off from there after second century or third century, how people started writing the gospel by comparing. But at the same time, the disciples, how they might have viewed Paul's doctrines and Paul's gospel before they writing their gospel could have happened. I have no doubt in that one. They might have happened and they might have written something like that. So when we say Christianity or anything, it wasn't exactly established at the time as a Christianity. It was only developed slowly by slowly, and it went into, even though Paul mentioned so many incidents in that book before Jewish people were writing in the gospel, how did Paul knew all these things? Because Paul never seen Jesus, he wasn't there with him. How Paul knew about this? And Paul knew all these oral things. It's all like oral Torah. It's all by hearing, by people who are telling. This is how he learned. And when we say Paul, did Paul establish Christianity? Paul even couldn't able to go to Rome. He had to ask for a visa to go to Rome, and then he wanted to go to the churches which were already established. Before even does anything, there were churches inside the Rome was already established, and those churches were filled with the Jewish people, not with any of the Gentiles. And then they were followed in a very very unusual way. That's why Paul, he couldn't go in there inside Saudi Arabia to all the disciples, churches, because they didn't want Paul over there. When Paul went to Jerusalem and he was talking to James and Peter, and he was talking about how his plans were, how Jesus met with him, and Jesus how he told everything. The other claim for the Paul was that Paul knew everything because Jesus taught him when he was in the room. So, Jesus told every stories to Paul. So that's why Paul knew all the stories. That's the claim of Paul. But it could be like probably he might have been there in the city for a long time. Probably he might have known about the oversay things people will tell. These are things they have seen, and these are things that they heard about. So it was easy for um, them to easily to understand all those things. Because Paul, being a philosopher, it was easy to grasp things. So he put all the ethics. He knew already Hebrew. He took the ethics from the Hebrew Bible, and also he took the ethics from the Greek Bible, and then he started writing philosophically. That's why Paul's letters are so eloquent, so intelligent, so wise. It's so difficult to fight with Paul's writings, right? Because he had, of course, a good education, and all the time he was, talking and mingling with all the people around him. And that's one of the things that, Paul would have heard and learned anything, and he would have put so many things in the Bible before gospel writers could have written the book. That's the problem. So the gospel writers basically, they listened everything from Paul, and then they narrated certain stories in their books. This is how the Christian books been started. This is how the Christianity was slowly starting up from the Christian world. Because if the Christianity is started, if the people are going into Christianity, it might take a long time for them to come back to Judaism again. That's very, very long time back. But even then, Christianity's growth is so difficult, and a lot of denominations, and they all kind of, it's so difficult to bring them back in one line. But still, then, how to bring them back to the original thing. That's the main thing. That's what we are thinking. That's what the we people are so zealous about, that when we just jump in and try to inform you guys. It's not that you have to or you should follow. No, we are trying to inform you, and it's up to you to take it into your heart and read it, and not read it. That's up to you. But as for now, I'm telling to you guys, this is what happened. Mark was not the one person, who is supposed to decide for everything. You know, that's not correct. So, as we say, Paulinity or Christianity is not decided like that. It is always like, sometimes when you look, Paul did written these things. That's why it appears like, like he did some ministry work. But Paul did wrote at the time for the first time. That's for sure. It is right. But at the same time, the common, the Christianity group, or the Christianity or Paulinity, Christianity may say this is Christianity, and yeah, Christianity the leaders was also a little bit angry on Paulinity leaders when you see that one, but doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the truth of the matter is either Paul or either Jesus. They didn't figure out the Christianity. They only worked along with that. They only took the nature and the level of that book, been in a crossed over in so many other places with the Paul and and other disciples help. That's why Paul is called, like he's the only author. He was the only author of the whole New Testament, and everybody knew. Of course, the New Testament was written by different authors. Still, then people think that Paul is the one who started the Christianity movement, and everybody joined in this movement group. But basically, they did not start as a Pauline Christianity or a Christianity, because as I said, that these things developed by themselves as a time went by. That's how these two were been developed on those days. So, folks, Paulinity or Christianity? No, no one established Christianity. It's all about the Judaism they were trying to talk about. That's what it is. And until I come back with the next another episode of another topic, stay there, keep in touch, read as much as possible, know as much as possible, which is highly, highly important, and that's going to give you life. So you always try to read and understand everything, and then you will really enjoy what is your visitation to this earth, why God has planted you on this earth. Everything will be revealed to you until unless you understand Him first. So, well, with this one, I'm finishing up. I'm wrapping up this session. Shabbat Shalom, Shavua too. May God bless you. God be with you. Take care, guys. I appreciate what you guys, watching this one. Take care. Bye bye.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה